Just earlier today, the ongoing scandal surrounding Ms. Fani Willis has gotten even deeper, as the divorce records have just been unsealed for the man who she was allegedly having an affair with. Now, in case you missed our previous episode outlining what's exactly happening here, let me give you a super quick summary overview. Ms. Fani Willis is the district attorney of Fulton County, Georgia, and she is the woman who's pushing forward the RICO case against both President Trump as well as 18 different associates of his. However, about a week and a half ago, there was a bombshell court document which accused Ms. Fani Willis of hiring the man for whom she was allegedly a mistress to in order to be the lead prosecutor in the Trump case. That man, Mr. Nathan Wade, he had little to no experience in working on felony RICO cases, but somehow he wound up getting paid much more per hour than the other attorneys. He wound up billing the county a cool $650,000 before then turning around and buying Ms. Fani Willis lavish vacations to places around the world, including Napa Valley, Florida, as well as the Caribbean. And so that was the general situation. If you'd actually like a more detailed breakdown of what took place, I'll throw a link to our previous episode. It'll be down in the description box below, which I should mention is that same description box right below those like and subscribe buttons, both of which I hope you take a super quick moment to smash so that the YouTube algorithm will be forced to share out this information to ever more people. However, you might be wondering at this point, what about Mr. Nathan Wade's actual wife? What's going on there? Well, Mr. Nathan Wade and Ms. Jocelyn Wade were married back in the year 1997. However, after 24 years of marriage, they separated in the year 2021. And then, one single day after Mr. Nathan Wade was assigned to be a special prosecutor in the Trump case, he filed for divorce against his wife, claiming that the marriage had been irretrievably broken. Just for your reference, that was on November 2nd of 2021. Again, just one single day after Mr. Nathan Wade was assigned to be a special prosecutor. Then, several months later, the judge overseeing the divorce case, they decided to place all the records under seal due to, quote, potential harm to the privacy of the parties, which outweighed the right of the public to access the records. And so, up until now, the records in the ongoing divorce case of Mr. Nathan Wade and his wife were sealed from the public. And so we've been flying a bit blind in terms of what we know. But earlier today, that all changed. A Superior Court judge ruled that since Mr. Nathan Wade was the lead prosecutor against the actual former president, and that since, quote, the criminal proceeding is of historic importance, the claim of a relationship between the special prosecutor and the district attorney must be answered in a transparent manner to preserve public confidence in our judicial system. And as such, the documents in the ongoing divorce case were opened up to the public. And they shed some interesting light on what's been happening behind the scenes, such as the fact that, for instance, Mr. Nathan Wade was actually held in contempt of court for failing to hand over his financial statements. Quote, one of the unsealed records shows that Mr. Wade was found in contempt in August of 2023 for failing to adequately provide discovery documents. An order that month said that Mr. Wade could purge himself of contempt by delivering the documents. In the months after the order, Mr. Wade failed to come into compliance with the court's directives. And in regards to what types of documents Mr. Wade was refusing to hand over, well, here was what his wife wrote in a separate filing. Quote, the plaintiff has failed to provide, for example, personal financials and or financials for his businesses, including but not limited to tax returns, bank accounts, and credit card accounts related to the plaintiff's businesses, and account statements for his individual bank and credit card accounts. That's a part of a pervasive pattern of what can only be described as a willful and deliberate effort to withhold relevant information. And while we of course can't know for sure why he was withholding these financial documents from the court, it is interesting to note that these divorce records, they also show that despite him making nearly $700,000 from the county, well, Mr. Nathan Wade provided, quote unquote, nearly nothing to his wife. Quote, other filings allege Mr. Wade has provided nearly nothing for support and survival to Miss Wade, despite him receiving nearly $700,000 from his employer since May of 2022, and her being a stay-at-home mom for the past 26 years. The only payments from Mr. Wade to his wife have been bi-weekly payments of $700, but those payments have been undercut by Mr. Wade allegedly using the account in question for his own expenses. And interestingly, in regards to those expenses, Miss Jocelyn Wade, she actually dropped her husband's credit card statements. You can see them up on your screen, and they confirm that he was indeed paying for lavish vacations with Miss Fani Willis. You can see airline tickets that he bought for both himself as well as her, hotel stays at Napa Valley, gifts through 1-800-Flowers, trips on both Royal Caribbean as well as Norwegian cruise liners, hotel stays in Aruba, and so on and so forth. Furthermore, outside of what was just in those two credit card statements, one of the other court filings, it also said the following, quote, since Mr. Wade filed for divorce, he he has taken trips to San Francisco and Napa Valley, to Florida, and even gone on Caribbean cruises, enjoyed a trip to Belize, another to the country of Panama, and even just last month took a trip to Australia. The evidence is clear that Miss Willis was an intended travel partner for at least some of these trips, as indicated by flights he purchased for her to accompany him. And I will also mention that it's not clear whether Miss Fani Willis accompanied him on all those trips, but it's clear that she accompanied him on at least some of them. Now, we'll quickly mention that in and of itself, I don't even want to cover salacious stories like these. I mean, a man leaves his wife of 24 years and starts a new relationship with another woman, taking her on vacations around the world. That's in and of itself not really newsworthy. But what is newsworthy is that the woman that he's buying these things for is the same district attorney who assigned him to be the lead prosecutor in one of the biggest cases in the country, if not the world. And she paid him significantly more money than the other lawyers in the case, even though at least one of those other lawyers had a lot more experience prosecuting RICO cases than did Mr. Nathan Wade. That's the reason that this story is so important. And what's so ironic is that if she was being honest, well, Miss Fani Willis would probably agree with me, evidenced by the fact that back in the year 2020, when she was still running for the position of district attorney, she actually gave an interview. It was videotaped, wherein she promised to not date anybody that worked under her. Take a look.
It is saddening to me if young women felt like they came to work and they were, one, even judged for being a woman, but two, if certainly they felt uncomfortable within the workplace. That will not be something that is allowed on my watch. Supervisors under my leadership that are not encouraging and building up my staff will not be supervisors long in my administration. And I certainly will not be choosing people to date that work under me. Let me just say that. We are at a place in society where things happen in people's relationships, husband and wife. Sometimes there are outside relationships. I don't think that that's what the community is concerned about, although there might be a moral breaking in that. I think that what citizens are really, really concerned about is if you chose to have inappropriate contact with employees. I mean, there's nothing that I can say on it other than it is distracting. It is certainly inappropriate for the number one law enforcement officer in this state. And it really, really saddens me. And it will be very unfortunate if the taxpayers of this community have to pay for any of those lawsuits.
And as wild as all this already is, it actually gets wilder, which we'll get into right after I introduce today's sponsor by showing you this little piece of money. Or rather, I should say that this is fake money being printed into oblivion by those geniuses over in Washington, D.C. And so before they completely obliterate your life savings, what I recommend you do is to convert that fake money into real money, which is physical gold and silver. And the best company to use is the sponsor of today's episode, American Hartford Gold, who also happens to be my own personal gold and silver bullion dealer. They have thousands of other 5-star ratings across the country. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They ship quickly, directly to your doorstep. Their product listings are awesome. They're stacked with great options of gold and silver bullion and coins, and they have amazing customer service. When you pick up the phone and call them, you feel good knowing you support a company that supports the truth getting out into the wider American audience. And so calling them up is a no-brainer. But best of all, if you tell them that Roman sent you, they will throw in up to $5,000 worth of free silver with your first purchase. It's 866-242-2352, or you can simply text the word Roman, R-O-M-A-N, Roman, to 65532. Of course, all their details will be down in the description box below. And now, let's head on back to the studio. Very cool, Miss Fani Willis. Now, in regards to the next steps in this whole saga, there are a few important dates coming up. Firstly, Ms. Fani Willis was actually subpoenaed to give her testimony in the ongoing divorce case. Her testimony was scheduled to be given tomorrow on January 23rd. However, the judge overseeing the divorce case, he put a pause on that testimony. Here is how Fox News over in Atlanta broke down the situation. Quote, as for Fani Willis, the judge said that since there are no minor children involved in the dissolution of the marriage between Nathan and Jocelyn Wade, and that it's a math problem, it didn't make sense to hear from Willis before Mr. Wade had been questioned under oath about his finances and his relationship with Willis. Since Willis was scheduled to be deposed on January 23rd, and Wade is not expected to be questioned for another 9 days, the judge issued a stay on the deposition of Willis. Judge Thomas indicated that if questions remain after Wade has been deposed, he will reconsider the deposition of Fani Willis. Meaning, in plain English, that Ms. Fani Willis might still have to testify in the divorce case, but that won't be until February at the earliest. However, that does not mean that she won't be answering any questions regarding this relationship. That's because the judge overseeing the RICO case, Trump's RICO case, well, he gave Ms. Fani Willis a hard deadline for when she must respond to these allegations in writing. Quote, Judge Scott McAfee on Thursday ordered Fani Willis to respond to the allegations in writing by February the 2nd and has scheduled a hearing on the matter for February 15th. And so, in about a week and a half, on February 2nd, she has to explain herself in writing, and then 2 weeks after that, on February 15th, she has to explain herself under oath in person at a televised court hearing. And so that is something that we can all look forward to. Furthermore, aside from the scrutiny against Ms. Fani Willis by the two judges, one in the divorce case and the other in Trump's RICO case, there are also probes being conducted into the matter by lawmakers. That's because at the federal level, you have Congressman Jim Jordan. In his official capacity as the current chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, he launched an official probe into Mr. Nathan Wade regarding this whole affair. But then also, locally, you have a Fulton County Board Commissioner launching his own probe into Ms. Fani Willis. Quote, a member of the Fulton County Board of Commissioners is investigating District Attorney Fani Willis over allegations that she engaged in an improper relationship with a special prosecutor that she hired to work on the Trump election interference case and is thus benefiting from the case. Now, specifically, Commissioner Bob Ellis, he sent an official letter to Ms. Fani Willis announcing the launch of this investigation and making a special point of mentioning in his letter that this Fulton County investigation is separate from any federal and Georgia state-level investigations that might be happening. Here's part of what he wrote in his letter. Quote, as the chair of the Fulton County Audit Committee, I must reasonably inquire about allegations contained in a recent court filing asserting that you misused county funds and accepted valuable gifts and personal benefits from a contractor/recipient of county funds. These allegations involve your decision to appoint Nathan Wade to serve as a special prosecutor in the matter which former President Trump is a co-defendant. Mr. Wade is alleged to lack relevant prosecutorial experience in a case of this type and complexity, have paid for your portion of multiple instances of joint leisure travel, and be in a romantic relationship with you that was not disclosed to the court or to the parties in the case. Separate from any potential inquiry by the state of Georgia, this situation requires confirmation of whether county funds provided for the operation of your office and its prosecutorial function were used in an appropriate manner, and whether any payments of county funds to Mr. Wade were converted to your personal gain in the form of subsidized travel or other gifts. And at the end of the letter, Commissioner Ellis, he gave a deadline of February the 2nd for Fani Willis to hand over all the relevant documents. And so this means in practical terms that between this investigation, the congressional investigation, the written response that Ms. Fani Willis has to deliver to the RICO court, as well as a televised hearing about this whole affair that's scheduled for the 15th, well, what it means is that by the middle of next month, we should have a lot more details regarding what was truly happening behind the scenes in this particular case. If you'd like to go deeper into the story, I'll throw all my research notes. They'll be down in the description box below this video if you happen to be the person that likes to dig into the weeds. And then lastly, if you appreciated this content and you're just thinking to yourself, man, I love Facts Matter episodes on YouTube. I just wish Roman would put out more episodes every single week. Well, you're in luck because I do. Over on Epoch TV, our awesome no-censorship video platform, I publish anywhere between 1 to 3 exclusive episodes of Facts Matter every single week, usually on topics that are, quite frankly, just too spicy for here on YouTube. And so if you would like access to those exclusive episodes every week, including a huge backlog from the last 3 years, well, you're in luck because the Epoch Times is running a phenomenal promotional sale. Just 25 cents a week for 6 months. If you do the math, that works itself out to just be a single $1 a month for an Epoch Times subscription. Now, this is a great sale. Basically, we make no money on it. The idea is just to get you in the door, get you watching the videos, reading the articles, checking out the infographics, the analyses, getting hooked on the content, and hopefully, after that 6-month mark, you'll continue being a subscriber for a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even decades. And so, if you want to take advantage of that sale, the link will be right there at the top of the description box below. You can just click on that link. It'll take you to the sale page where you can try the Epoch Times for, again, just a single $1 a month. I hope you check it out. And then, until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.